I'm doing pretty swell.
I was just making sure, man, to give you enough time. Did you have your Wheaties today?
Well, I had some breakfast, little something.
I like to hear that, man. Yesterday, man, our conversation, man, you had brought up some very, very good points, and I wanted to revisit that, and so we could hear from the people, because the last episode we did, man, people liked it. You were ahead of your time with the Inoue stuff. Again, I always give you credit whenever I can for putting me on the Inoue and making me really focus in on him, because sometimes them lower weights, I got my Bam Rodriguez down there, but when you following so many different fighters, you kind of get lost in the sauce, and you were the first one to kind of make me say, hey, look at this guy Inoue. And, I want to revisit the Inoue and Fulton conversation, because I was saying, man, are we overlooking Fulton? Because he does tend to come out on top when he's viewed as the underdog, and he had fought 4 undefeated fighters for his belts. He's an underrated body puncher, and he is the bigger fighter in this situation, settled in that division. So what do you think? Were people underrating Fulton, or are we underrating Fulton in this?
Well, boxing fans that has had an opportunity to look at Fulton, or to have had the opportunity to highlight back on his fights and critique his career, true boxing fans will look at him and see that he does have a talent. He's a very talented fighter. He has good movements. He's able to use all aspects of the ring. He has good ring generalship. The only thing on his repertoire that he kind of lacks for some fighters who are some fans who are fight fans of the sport, he doesn't have a great knockout percentage.
Right.
And that kind of is the only flaw that I really see with him. But it does not take away from his ability to box. He's an excellent boxer, and he is the champion. So you have to give him credit for being able to be at the apex of his weight class, because technically he's considered the man to beat in his weight class right now. He seems to be the top talent. So you cannot underestimate him. And because he may not have that knockout record, you have to take into respect he's not getting knocked out either.
Right.
Meaning that these fights, many of them have to go to the scorecard.
Right.
And because of his excellent boxing ability, these fighters aren't able to outpoint him. So if you don't knock him out, it's gonna be a tough fight, because he works in the ring. He does all of his work. He just may not get the knockout, but you don't have to get the knockout to be a successful champion.
Right. And you made this excellent point about his knockout percentage, and and maybe the power or lack thereof. And part of that could be that he's fighting the creme de la creme. Part of that could be. And I was saying that, yeah, okay, he is an underrated body puncher. I mean, because he even had several stoppages to the body, like where he didn't actually stop some people to the body, like when he did do it. My question was, looking at everything included, looking at whether or not he had enough to keep Inoue up off of him, and wondering if he gonna be able to move enough as well as outpoint Inoue. And you said you had heard something. Let's touch on what you heard. You said that you heard a guy do a breakdown.
Yes, a guy made an interesting point when talking about Fulton. He indicated that from his experiences in watching Fulton, that there have been times that if Fulton gets hit good, that he initially wants to retaliate and come forward to show this fighter that he's not hurt and that he equally can throw the type of blow that can be a counter action to what just took place. And sometimes that's not the best thing to do. And the analogy was made with using Floyd Mayweather. If you get a good punch in on Floyd Mayweather, Floyd doesn't try to initially come straight back and come forward and make it a brawl. If he gets hit, he rises his boxing skills up to the next level to prevent you from getting that second punch in. He just keeps elevating above whatever you are doing. And this one fighter said, this one fight fan said that when you're looking at Fulton, if he fights Inoue and he gets attacked in that manner, what he needs to do is elevate his boxing skill so that he don't get hit again because of the power that Inoue possesses. If he attempts to retaliate and come after Inoue in an attempt to make it a brawl to show that he's tough, that could be working towards Inoue's advantage, because Inoue is going to be seen as the much dominant puncher based on his knockout percentage. So Fulton has to keep in mind what got him to the dance.
Right.
What got him to be where he's at. It's his boxing ability, not his knockout power or his knockout percentage. So don't get caught up and allow this fight to go into a brawl, because if it does, it's a possibility that will be his disadvantage. Whatever happened, keep elevating his boxing skill. And if he's able to do that, and if it goes to the scorecards, that works more to his advantage than trying to get into a slugfest with Inoue to prove that he's the bigger, tougher man.
Right. He don't. I always said that's right. That now, trying to be like Floyd, those are some big shoes to fill. I do say that Fulton is talented, but I would say yes, he definitely does not want to find himself in a firefight with Fulton, because right now, I think it's a little bit more than perception. I think it's really a reality that, Inoue has some serious power, and he's been able to move up and up and up in these divisions and carry that power. So he's coming, and if you don't have anything to get rid, keep him off of you, or really hurt him, he's going to try to hurt you. And he's a very accurate puncher. Fulton, it's a good fight. People are really excited about it. I heard a lot of people jumping on Al Heyman, talking about why we didn't get this and why we didn't get that. And they didn't do their research, because Bob came out and basically said, yeah, that fight is pretty much done. He said, we're just waiting on our Japanese friends. And since, anything that's domestic there in Japan, Inoue's people handle that. So it's in their hands. They're about business. That's their star. That's their marquee attraction. That's their Godzilla. And Fulton is looking to be that King Kong. So, we're just waiting on closure on basically a word back from the Japanese, and Bob felt real good about it. And he's still standing on the fact that, because I heard him say it again, Inoue is the best fighter in the world. You know what I'm saying? He did say that.
So you heard him say it also, right?
He said it, yep.
Yeah, I heard him say that back when it was first introduced that he would be helping to promote Inoue. And at that particular time, he still had Bud. And he said that Inoue was the best fighter in the world. And at the time when he made that comment, Inoue still was not a household name with the American fight fans. So what Bob knew was this was going to be the prelude, an introduction to a fighter that will be well perceived once the fight world and the fight fans get an opportunity to watch him fight and critique his career by going back to the highlight reels, which had, led him to where he's at now. And I'm going to tell you, when I first was introduced to him by virtue of the internet, because I never seen any of his fights live.
Right.
As I watched his career and how he went from one division to the next division to the next division, and he ultimately appeared to be the same fighter from one division to the next, with no distinction in his style, his methodology, the way he fight, and the way he would end fights. I knew from what I saw, this was going to be a very special fighter. And since that time, he has continued to plateau upward. And now I think he's going to be facing a very tough opponent in Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be able to succeed? Will he be the same identical Inoue in this fight? It's hard to say, but from my perspective, I'm expecting him to give that effort 100%. And if he falls short, it won't be because he gave up or he didn't put forth the effort. And all I can say for this fight, Fulton has to be committed and has to be at his best, because anything less than that, he's going to fall prey to Inoue, because Inoue will be dominant if he does not take this fight serious and use all the skills that it takes to defeat his opponent, because that's what it takes to beat Inoue. Even though Inoue is moving up, he has shown in the past that moving up has not presented a problem for him. So until somebody does something to him, I have to, look forward to Inoue in this particular fight.
Let me ask you a question, because you bring up some, man, you drive some thoughts now. My question is this: we know that Fulton, he has the physical capabilities, and he has the boxing skill and the ring IQ. As a boxer, he has his best shot at boxing, and like you said, he don't want to find himself in a firefight with him. But how do you think he would fare all the way on the inside with Inoue? Like, cause I've never seen. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. Have you ever seen like cause you got in, medium, and then you got on the outside. Have you seen anybody like lean on Inoue or even attempt to do that?
Well, most of the fights that I've encountered and watched Inoue with, most fighters tend to back away from Inoue.
Right.
And when you do see close interaction and fighting, it's because Inoue has their back against the ropes. But I have not seen fighters come and meet Inoue right in the middle of the ring and start with a slugfest and a tough body attack.
Yeah.
Most people who fight him tend to want to stay on the outside, outbox him.
Right.
Because they don't want to get in a tit for tat punching slugfest with him, because Inoue's power tends to prevail over his opponents.
So what about
he's got to be tested that way. I just have not seen anybody that wants to stand up to that type of pressure with him.
Now who as far as, you know, their punch resistance, you know, like who you think got a better shot at being able to, you know, take a hit, or their punch resistance? Like who would you give it to?
Well, right now I'm gonna have to give it even, okay, for right now. And the reason why I'm gonna say even is because these fighters have shown that they are capable of staying on their feet. Okay. Now with Fulton is fighting at a higher weight class.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we have to see if the power of Inoue can really test Fulton, because Fulton does not really get beat up, and he does not spend time getting up off the canvas.
Right.
So that's an indication that he has a good chin. Yeah. On the same token, Inoue doesn't take a beating and doesn't have to keep getting up off the canvas to fight. So both of these fighters have shown that they got good chins. Okay? Now, coming into this fight, even though Fulton is a little heavier, I might have to give a slight advantage on the chin, maybe to Fulton, because he's fighting at a bigger weight and he's able to sustain the punching power within that weight class. Now, enter Inoue. Inoue seems to be a puncher that punches at least a weight class above what the class he's fighting. If he's able to carry that into this fight, he may be testing the chin of Fulton where no other fighter has tested it before. So, coming into this fight, this is what makes this fight so good. There's gonna be some unknowns that are gonna be answered in this fight. We can speculate, but there are some unknowns that's gonna occur, and those unknowns are gonna be the deciding factor on who is gonna be victorious in this fight and who's gonna suffer a loss. Right now, it's too early for me to predict.
Right.
I'm just eager for this fight to take place so that I could see it in real time.
And that's why I respect your boxing mind, because you know you think a lot like me in that you got to consider the weight difference. You got to consider that Fulton's been tried and true. It almost be like one of them 140 guys going up to 147. And you know, seeing Spence, you know what I'm saying, like it'll be you know, you got to consider that weight, you know, it is a factor. So yeah, there are some unknowns, and it's a realistic assessment, you know. So, you know, I don't think people are really underestimating Fulton. I just know that the boxing fans are in for a treat, and possibly we don't even know if it's going to be a rematch or anything like that. So depending on how good this fight is, we might get to see Godzilla and King Kong in the States, you know. But we're gonna be tuned in.
How about that?
Yeah, we're gonna be
how
tuned
about
in.
that?
I wanna